Okay, picture this. You're in the middle of a desert, stark, sun-baked Peruvian desert, and then boom, a vibrant green valley full of vineyards.
Yeah, it's quite an image, isn't it? Almost seems unreal.
Right, but it is real. Welcome everyone to our deep dive today. We're heading into the Vale de Ica, the Ica Valley in Peru.
It's this incredible oasis, and more than just grapes for wine, it's really the heartland of Peru's national spirit, Pisco.
That contrast is just striking. This fertile place right there in the desert.
It really is. It speaks volumes about, nature's resilience and human innovation working together.
Totally. And to guide us through this amazing place, we got a great source, essentially a deep dive itself, written from a sommelier's perspective.
Ah, okay, so someone who really knows their stuff looking at the whole picture.
Exactly. It covers everything. The history, the unique terroir, which is fascinating, the grapes, how they make the wine and the pisco, the tourism angle, even the challenges they face.
So our mission then is to pull out the really juicy bits, the key insights from this analysis.
Yeah, we want to give you, our listener, the inside track on what makes Ica so special, why it's such a unique wine region, and why pisco is so deeply Peruvian.
Looking for those aha moments, the surprising details that bring it all to life.
Precisely. So let's get into it. This green miracle, where exactly are we?
We're on the southern coast of Peru, about 300 kilometers, give or take, south of Lima.
So you drive out from the city through this really arid landscape.
And then suddenly, there it is, this valley surrounded by these huge, dramatic sand dunes. The contrast is just incredible gold desert, green valley.
Like finding a secret garden, you said earlier?
And the key?
The Ica River. It flows down from the Andes Mountains way up high.
Wow.
That water is everything. It irrigates the valley floor, makes it all possible.
It's the lifeline.
Absolutely. And it's interesting how the source, the sommelier, views it, not just as agriculture, but as this testament, to overcoming challenging conditions.
And nature throws down a gauntlet.
Yeah.
And people find a way not just to survive, but to create something unique. Exactly. It's that partnership between nature and human ingenuity.
Okay, let's rewind a bit. History. This wasn't always a big wine hub, right? Our source goes way back.
Yeah, back to the 16th century. That's when the Spanish colonizers first brought grapevines, Vitis vinifera, to Peru.
But not initially for, exporting wine everywhere.
No, not really. The main reasons were religious. They needed wine for mass, and also just for themselves, for the colonists to drink, a taste of home.
Right, cheaper than shipping it all the way from Spain, I guess.
Definitely. And here's a cool fact from the source. Peru was actually one of the very first places in South America to produce wine.
Wow, you don't always think of Peru first for wine history.
No, you don't. And within Peru, the Ica Valley quickly became a prime spot.
Why Ica specifically?
Well, the source points to a few things. The climate, lots of sun, low humidity, really good for ripening grapes. Then the soils, these alluvial soils from the river, quite fertile.
Yeah.
And of course, the river itself providing reliable water.
The perfect storm, almost.
Kind of, yeah, for grape growing in that era. And that's when the big bodegas, the wineries, the distilleries started getting established.
Okay, so wine's taking root. But then Pisco enters the scene. Peru's national drink.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
That was a bit later, around the 17th century. The source suggests a couple of reasons. One was finding an alternative to a spirit made from grape leftovers, aguardente de bagazo.
Okay.
And the other, maybe simpler reason, was just they were getting really good at growing grapes. They had a surplus, needed something else to do with them.
Huh. Necessity and abundance, the mothers of invention, and Ica became the main place for Pisco.
Absolutely. It had the grapes, it had the wineries already set up, it was the logical hub. And the source really stresses this. Pisco isn't just any spirit. It's symbolic. It is Ica. It is Peru.
It's woven into the culture, isn't it? You've got the traditional distilleries, the bodegas pisqueras, the whole culture around it, like Pisco sour.
Exactly. It's more than just a drink. The sommelier really nails that connection. But the story doesn't stop there. What about now, the 21st century?
Yeah, the source looks ahead, too. They've got challenges like pretty much everywhere. Water management is huge, obviously, in a desert.
Makes sense.
Climate change is a big one, too. We'll get more into that. And, competing in the global market for both wine and spirits.
Standard pressures, yeah. But what about the upsides? Opportunities?
Oh, plenty. The source highlights the unique terroir itself, the mix of grapes, they grow old traditional ones, and international types. Plus, Pisco's getting more attention internationally.
And tourism.
Yeah, tourism is a growing thing there too, so lots of potential alongside the challenges. It's a dynamic situation.
Okay, so let's dig into that terroir. You said it's fascinating. Desert, Andes, Pacific Ocean all playing a part.
Right. Let's start with the climate. Subtropical desert. What's that mean on the ground?
Super dry, very, very little rain, like under 50 millimeters a year. That's almost nothing.
Wow.
But loads and loads of sunshine, intense sun, pretty much all year round, which is, crucial for ripening the grapes, getting those sugars and flavors developed.
And the geography itself. The desert means low humidity, intense sun.
Yep. Then you've got the Andes Mountains to the east, absolutely critical. That's where the Ica River starts, the water source.
The lifeline again.
Exactly. And the altitude difference means some temperature variation within the valley, maybe cooler nights sometimes, especially higher up.
And the Pacific Ocean to the west. It doesn't bring rain, but...
Yeah, it moderates the temperature, especially near the coast, keeps it from getting quite as scorching hot as it might further inland. And you get those morning fogs sometimes, particularly in winter, the garua, they call it.
Ah, Karuma.
Yeah. So you have these three big forces, desert, Andes, ocean, all converging to create this really specific environment for the grapes.
It's quite a combination. Okay, what are the ground itself, the soils? Our source says mostly alluvial.
Right. Basically, soil deposited by the river over ages and ages. Layers of sand, clay, gravel washed down from the mountains.
So reasonably fertile.
Yeah, inherently fertile to a degree, which helps when you're relying on irrigation.
And does the type of alluvial soil matter? Like sandy versus clay?
It seems so, yeah. The source suggests sandy soils drain well, maybe leading to lighter, more aromatic wines or piscos. Clay holds more water, might give more body, more structure. Little variations matter.
Yeah, it's another layer of complexity.
Yeah.
And we keep coming back to irrigation. Can't stress it enough, right?
Absolutely fundamental. The source mentions the old way, furrow irrigation digging channels.
Right.
But now there's a big shift towards drip irrigation. Much more efficient, gets water right to the roots, less waste.
Makes sense.
And the sommelier really hammers this point. Precise water management isn't just about survival, it's key for grape quality.
Yeah.
And for, sustainability long term.
It's a balancing act. Enough water, but not too much to dilute the flavors.
Exactly. And interestingly, the source mentions microclimates within the valley.
Really? Even in a relatively contained area?
Yeah, small differences in altitude or how close you are to the river or even just which way a slope faces the sun, it can all create slightly different conditions.
Huh. Affecting ripening.
Exactly. Sugar levels, acidity, it all adds nuance. So the best spots have good drainage, well-managed water, and the right amount of sun.
So much more complex than just desert vineyard.
Mm.
Okay, let's talk grapes. The stars of the show. Our source lists quite a few for both wine and pisco.
Yeah, and it's a cool mix. Lots with Spanish roots, obviously, brought over centuries ago. But they've adapted, found their own expression in Ica.
Let's start with the reds. The source really highlights Quebranta, calls it emblematic.
It really is the Pisco grape, many would say. And fascinatingly, it's a mutation of another grape, Negra Criolla, that just sort of happened in Peru. It's non-aromatic.
Non-aromatic. What does that mean for the pisco?
Well, when they make a pura quebranta pisco, just from that grape, you get these really interesting notes like banana, nuts, maybe some chocolate, robust, earthy character.
Sounds intriguing, not just fruity. And they use it for still wine, too.
They do, yeah. Makes pretty decent medium-bodied fruity red wines. Then there's Negra Criolla itself, sometimes called Pais elsewhere.
What are the originals in Peru, right? Described as rustic, productive.
Yeah, and versatile. Used for pisco, but also for lighter, fruity still reds, maybe a bit lower in acid.
Okay, any others?
Malar is another non-aromatic red, traditionally used for both pisco and wine. And Uvina, which the source says is only for pisco.
So a strong core of these traditional pisco reds. What about international grapes? Cabernet, Malbec.
Yep, they're there too. Cabernet Sauvignon, Malbec, Syrah. Mostly for making those more modern, internationally recognized styles of red wine. Shows they're looking outwards as well.
A mix of old and new. Okay, white grapes. Italia gets a mention first.
Ah, Italia. Another fascinating one. It's an aromatic mutation of Moscatel de Alexandria.
Aromatic this time, so different pisco profile.
Totally. Pura Italia. Pisco is super floral, think roses, jasmine plus bright citrus, really fragrant, and it makes lovely, elegant, still white wines too.
Sounds gorgeous. Then Torontel.
Also highly prized, also aromatic. Puro Torontel. Pisco gives you floral notes again, but also peach, apricot. Really fruity and perfumed.
Yum.
Albilla is a bit more subtle, more neutral. Gives sort of gentle white fruit notes, apple, pear, maybe a touch of honey to the Puro Albilla Pisco.
Okay. And Moscatel de Alexandria itself.
The parent grape. Also aromatic, used for both pisco, think floral, raisin notes, And for aromatic still whites.
And international whites. Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, they're grown too, for making those fresh, crisp, aromatic, still white styles that are popular globally. Again, that blend of local and international.
So how do all these different grapes cope with that desert environment we talked about?
They've adapted incredibly well, it seems. The sunshine, the soils, the controlled water, it all helps concentrate the flavors and aromas. And for Pisco, they deliberately choose aromatic or non-aromatic grapes depending on the style they want.
Right, that distinction is key. And Quebranta, the non-aromatic red, sounds like it really stands out.
It's iconic. It makes a Pisco with real structure, where the distillation itself can really shine through, not just the grape aroma. It's fundamental to high-quality traditional Pisco, a real symbol.
Okay, so from these amazing grapes, they make wine and Pisco. Let's look at how. The production side, vineyard techniques first. Irrigation is obviously king.
Absolutely. We mentioned furrow versus drip. The move is towards drip precision, water saving. And it's not just about keeping vines alive. It's crucial for grape quality. Sugar, acid balance, everything.
Right. What else happens in the vineyard? Canopy management.
Yeah, basically managing the leaves and shoots. Pruning shapes the vine, controls how many grapes you get. Removing leaves helps with sun exposure. Airflow prevents disease, helps ripening. It's all quite detailed.
And yield control, making fewer grapes on purpose.
Exactly. Quality over quantity. Things like pruning harder or even cutting off some grape bunches early on concentrates flavor in the grapes that are left, vital for top wines and aromatic Piscos.
And how the vines are trained, trellising.
Yeah, often espalier systems training vines vertically on wires. Good for sun exposure, makes working in the vineyard easier, sometimes allows for mechanization.
Okay, vineyard sorted. Now, into the winery. Making still wine. Reds first, how does that usually work in AK?
Typically, destem the grapes, crush them gently, then maceration, letting the juice sit with the skins to get color, tannins, flavor.
Right.
Then controlled fermentation, maybe in stainless steel or traditional concrete tanks. And after that, aging. Could be steel for fruity styles or oak barrels for more complexity and structure.
And for white wines, a different approach.
Generally, yeah. Gently crush, then press the juice off the skins pretty quickly. Fermentation is cooler, usually in stainless steel to keep all those fresh, delicate aromas.
And aging.
Mostly steel too, typically, though sometimes they might use neutral oak for a bit or leave the wine on its lees, the dead yeast cells, to add some texture.
And rosé, quick skin contact.
Exactly. Red grapes, just a short time on skins for that pink color, then cool fermentation like a white wine to keep it fresh and vibrant.
Okay, makes sense. Now, the main event for many, Pisco. With its strict denomination of origin rules, what are the key things?
First, the grapes. Only those 8 specific authorized varieties we talked about, the Quebrantas, Italias, etc.
Got it. Step 1.
Then distillation has to be in copper pot stills. And it's discontinuous small batches, not a continuous process. This really helps preserve the aromas.
Okay, traditional stills, small batches, and the purity thing.
Crucial. The source stresses this heavily. Absolutely nothing can be added. No water, no sugar, nothing. Before, during, or after distillation, it has to be 100% pure grape spirit.
Wow, that's strict. Pure essence of grape.
Exactly. And then there are the different types, or tipos, based on the grapes. Puro, from a single grape variety.
Like Puro Quebranta or Puro Italia.
Right. Then Accolado, that's a blend. Can blend different grape musts before fermentation or blend finished piscos together.
Creates complexity.
Yeah, aiming for harmony between different grape characters. And finally, Mosto Verde.
Ah, the one where they don't finish fermentation.
Correct. They distill it while there's still some sugar left in the must. Makes it often a bit smoother, maybe subtly sweeter, usually very aromatic and velvety.
3 distinct styles. And despite all this tradition, there's innovation too.
Definitely. The source mentions producers updating equipment, using precision techniques in the vineyard, studying grapes, experimenting with wine styles, but always, always respecting those core Pisco rules.
Balancing heritage and progress. Okay, after all that work, the taste. Let's talk sensory profiles. What are Ica's wines like in the glass? Reds first.
Often a nice deep ruby color. Medium to full body, you feel the tannins. Lots of ripe, dark fruit, blackberry, plum. Sometimes, especially with Negra Criolla, maybe a little herbal note.
And the challenge is keeping them fresh in the heat.
Yeah, getting that balance with acidity is key in a warm climate like Ica's.
Makes sense. And the whites. Sounds like a range.
Very much so. You get light, crisp, refreshing ones, citrusy white fruits, but also richer, more aromatic styles, especially from Italia or Moscatel. Think jasmine, orange blossom, tropical fruits like mango, passion fruit. Really diverse.
And the rosés?
Pretty pink colors, fresh red fruit on the nose, strawberry, cherry, lively acidity. Perfect warm weather drinking, really.
Sounds lovely. Okay, pisco tasting. The different types must taste quite distinct.
Oh, yeah. Puro really depends on the grape. Non-aromatics like Quebranta give you that robust feel, banana, nutty notes.
Oh.
Aromatic puros like Italia or Trontel are bursting with flowers, citrus, peach, apricot. Very expressive.
And Achelado, the blend.
Aims for complexity, a well-rounded harmony of different notes from the blended grapes.
And Mosto Verde, that velvety texture.
Yeah, often a subtle sweetness underneath, really pronounced aromas, and that smooth, almost creamy feel on the palate. Very
A
luxurious.
whole world in one spirit.
Yeah.
And pairing with Peruvian food must be amazing.
Absolutely. The source gives examples. Ica reds with lomo saltado, whites with ceviche, rosés with seafood rice. Classic pairings.
And pisco, beyond the pisco sour.
Definitely. Great neat as an aperitif if you're digestive. And specific styles pair well aromatic piscos with delicate fish or fruit desserts, non-aromatics with richer meats or cheeses. Lots of possibilities.
Fun to experiment. Any tasting tips from the source? Temperature? Glassware?
Yeah, suggest serving temps, white rosés, cool, 8-10 degrees Ceta. Red's a bit warmer, 16-18 degrees. Pisco, maybe around 14-16 degrees C to let aromas open up.
Okay.
Good glassware helps capture aromas. And then just the basics. Look at the color. Smell carefully for different notes. Grape, process, aging, then taste. Thinking about acidity, tannins, body, how long the flavor lasts. It's a sensory journey.
Definitely sounds like it. Okay, moving beyond the bottle. Enotourism. Ica's becoming a destination.
Increasingly so, yes. And the source points out it's not just about wine and pisco. There are historical sites, cultural stuff, and those amazing desert landscapes, Huacachina oasis, sandboarding, dune buggies.
So, appeals to different kinds of travelers. But for the wine pisco lover,
The main draw is visiting the bodegas, guided tours, seeing historic places with old stills, modern wineries, learning how it's all made, and tastings, of course, chatting with producers.
sounds great.
Plus pisco museums, wine pisco routes connecting different places. Even just the old colonial architecture at some bodegas is an attraction.
Really immersive. And this tourism must be good for the local economy.
Hugely important, according to the source. Money flows to wineries, hotels, restaurants, shops, transport, creates jobs. And importantly, it helps preserve the heritage, encourages people to keep old vineyards going, maintain traditions.
A positive feedback loop? Any big events, festivals?
Yes. The Festa de Vendimia, the Harvest Festival, usually in March, sounds like a big party.
Yeah.
Parades, grape stomping, tastings, food, music, culture. Really showcases Ica.
Sounds like the time to go.
Yeah.
Okay, but looking ahead, challenges. It can't be easy farming in a desert, especially now.
No, it's tough. The source highlights climate change as a major worry. Rise in temperatures, unpredictable water, affects grape ripening, acidity, water supply itself.
Water management is already critical.
Exactly. Sustainable use, efficient irrigation, it's becoming even more vital. Pests and diseases need managing too, even in the dry climate. And then there's global competition.
Need to keep quality high, tell the pisco story effectively.
Precisely. And ensuring quality is consistent across the board is key for their reputation.
Serious hurdles. So what's the path forward? Sustainability. Heritage.
Both are crucial. Responsible water use, healthy soil, minimizing environmental impact, adapting to climate change, and at the same time, preserving those old vineyards, traditional distilleries, the knowledge passed down generations.
And research has a role to play.
Big time. Studying how grapes adapt, finding better irrigation methods, sustainable pest control, refining production techniques, but always respecting the Pisco rules. Precision viticulture using technology is also mentioned.
So science and tradition working together. What's the overall vision for Ica's future, according to the source?
A relentless focus on quality in both wine, using native and international grapes, and especially Pisco, sticking to the DO standards. Really championing their unique grapes and terroir. Growing tourism, and telling their story effectively worldwide.
Leveraging that unique identity, the desert oasis, the Pisco connection.
That's their ace card, really.
It is an incredible story. History, perseverance, a unique environment, creating something truly special.
It really is. And the source helps put faces to the names, listing some key producers who shape the region.
Right, gives a sense of the players involved. Like Viña Tacama, super historic.
Yeah, it dates back centuries. Known for fine wines and top-tier pisco. Then there's Bodega El Catador, more boutique, artisanal.
Near Huacachina, right. Award-winning stuff. Bodega Vista Alegre.
Scenic spot, making both quality wines and pisco. Viñas Corolla, they use the Intipalca label.
More modern, innovative,
Uh,
making things like Tanit, Sauvignon Blanc, plus good Pisco.
yeah. And Bodega Ocucaje, another historic one, really traditional methods. Hacienda La Caravedo.
Pisco Porton, known for traditional distillation, high quality.
Bodegas y Viñedos Tabernero, one of the oldest, biggest, huge range of products.
And smaller, artisanal folks.
Like Bodega Lasso, focusing on quality pisco, Bodega Morga, doing interesting things with natural pisco production, plus others mentioned like Pampas de Ica, San Nicolas.
Shows the diversity, doesn't it? Old historic estates, smaller craft producers, all contributing.
Exactly. Each adds a different thread to the tapestry of the Ica Valley, offering different experiences for visitors too.
Absolutely. Okay, wrapping up this deep dive. What's the one big takeaway for you from exploring the Vale de Ica?
For me, it's just that remarkable story. A thriving wine and pisco region flourishing against the odds, smack bang in a desert, driven by history, this unique terroir, and just a real commitment to quality from the people there.
Yeah, that resilience, that ingenuity, it's inspiring. And hopefully, for you listening, this dive has given you a new appreciation for these kinds of stories, for cultural heritage, and maybe especially for Peruvian wine and pisco. Knowing the backstory makes it taste even better, right?
It really does. And it makes you think, if they can do this in the Peruvian desert, what other surprising corners of the world are hiding amazing stories of making wine and spirits against the odds?
Makes you appreciate the effort behind the bottle, doesn't it?
Definitely. The resourcefulness, the dedication.
A great thought to leave us with. Maybe your next favorite drink comes from an unexpected place. Until our next deep dive, thanks for joining us.